Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. We have a 2v2 on Desert Showdown. I'm actually pretty fond of this map. On the blue side, we have DvDa Ass Monkey as the little orc Mekboy, this little orc with a screw in his mouth, teleporting hero who can build turrets, although you rarely see them. Has a lot of interesting things he can do. As his teammate, we have DvDa Fear Boner. Obviously, these guys have some funny names. We got the Orc Warboss compared to the Mekboy. He's an extremely big orc. He's got this nice pink armor. Tanky hero. One of the best heroes in the game, in my opinion. On the other side, we have Gulbrandr as this, like, reddish bronze or bronze reddish plague champion. Plague champion kind of starts out kind of weak, but does pretty good range damage, can be upgraded to be a tanky melee hero, can also be like the Tech Marine, building turrets, supporting vehicles by repairing them. He's got a lot of good things too. Although I'd say, in my opinion, that, well, he's a pretty tricky, I think he's kind of tricky to play, but can still be good. Finally, we have Kaldoot as this Blood Ravens Force Commander. Tanky melee hero, can support troops, do a knockback with one of his abilities. Kaldoot's a pretty solid player. Anyway, there's already been a lot of fighting. I've kind of been talking about heroes and stuff. Heretics right here. Down to 4 models. Going to engage this Mekboy. They're actually doing quite a bit of damage to him, but then he just teleports out. And I think these heretics are bleeding too many models and getting to the point where you're going to risk losing them entirely. Luckily for luckily for Gulbrandr, Ass Monkey does not have any big shooters on his shooter boys yet, and Chaos Space Marines right here are closing for melee with the shooters. They will beat Chaos Space Marines. Are pretty good in melee for a ranged unit, and they will definitely beat the shooter boys by a mile in melee combat. Even in range, they kind of win because they have heavy armor. But in melee, it's ridiculous. And there we go. We have orcs being forced off from Fear Boner. Now, Ass Monkey has gone for the very traditional orc build of 2 shooter boys. It's just a little surprising to see that he does not have big shooters yet, although he is getting them on 1 squad. On the other side, Fear Boner has gone for a melee-centric build. He's got 2 Slugger Boys, and as well as the Storm Boy squad. Storm Boys, I think, going to be pretty good. Not I think. They are good against power armor units. They have great damage, very high DPS, and they're especially going to be good. They're kind of going to be blind counter-picking these Devastator Marines that Kaldoot has. Anyway, ooh, heretics over there. Just barely getting out alive. I think the only reason the heretics survived there was because of this wall blocking line of sight. And the same goes for Gulbrandr's second heretic squad. I don't know if this one will even get out of there, but both heretic squads just barely get out of there. And again, I think they only got out of there because this wall broke line of sight for the shooter boys. Otherwise, I think the shooter boys would have wiped both of those heretic squads. So he certainly, Gulbrandr bled a lot from losing all those heretics, but a really, really lucky break to not lose the entire squad. Might want to consider putting aspiring champions on those heretics. Now Gulbrandr's going for a Gen Bash using Chaos Raptors, Chaos Space Marines, and his Plague Champion. He's actually upgrading to the Bile Spewer to make this Gen Bash go a little bit faster, but the orcs are already coming back and are going to force him off pretty soon. We'll get this generator down, maybe another one. Shooters are actually mainly focusing on the Raptors, and using the Raptors offensively there actually buys the Plague Champion time to just burn down that generator, or maybe not burn it down, but corrode it down with the Bile Spewer. Plague Champion now has to go. Stayed in there. I mean, burn down the generators, that's good, but I think once he burned down the generators, it was clear that it was time for him to go. Chaos Space Marines really need to retreat. They're on the verge of losing a model. He's kind of trying to keep them in play so he can bring these heretics on the field. And he was actually pretty lucky to not lose a model there. Chaos Heretics, one is melee with the Aspiring Champion, which is a very good choice, but now he's just running them straight up to 2 shooters and a Slugger squad that's Fortunately, not really great use of that Chaos Heretic squad. And then this one right here is a Grenade Launcher squad. Grenade Launchers, pretty good. Lots of good utility out of that because good anti-infantry damage, and then it has a disruption from that ability. But they stayed in there a little too long, lost 5 models. So that's some unnecessary bleed from Gulbrandr. Right now, the red team has been handling the victory points better. They are at a VP lead, but the fighting is a little questionable. Right now, we have Tactical Marines aggressively going after this Luda squad. They do manage to get in melee range, but now they've got Sluggers in their retreat path. So Battle Cry is activated. Tax Retreat, actually probably not going to lose a model there, but luckily to not use a model after putting his tax behind Slugger Boys. And now it's going to be the Force Commander against Sluggers. Force Commander actually decides to just retreat out of there just because the Slugger's doing way too much DPS, especially now with a Storm Boy squad. And although this Slugger Blob will get suppressed, he can just jump them with the Storm Boys. Devastator needs to retreat immediately or it will get wiped. The Storm Boys, as you can see from the tremendous damage they just did, Storm Boys will wipe a Devastator squad in about 3 seconds. That's not even an exaggeration. They will wipe a Storm Boy squad. They will wipe a Devastator squad in about 3 seconds. The same goes for a Havoc squad. They do 150 DPS power melee, and Devastators do not have melee resist. Ass Monkey has lost one of his shooter squads, so he's down to 1. He does have an upgrade on his Mekboy. Has that battery pack, will allow him to heal his units, especially synergizes well with Knobs in the late game, also with Storm Boys, and we'll do okay with the rest of his units. We actually had a Wa banner, I think from Ass Monkey, probably from Ass Monkey since he's roughly in this lane, but it gets torn down by these heretics as well as the rest of the Chaos Army. Looks like we're having fighting right here, and so right now Gulbrandr is mainly using his Plague Champion as a Gen Basher, and that's going to hurt the blue team a lot. They're going to be really hurting for power from the Gen Bashes, and they will also be hurting from Requisition if they decide to keep buying them. The main thing, although Gulbrandr has to be a little bit careful, he's facing massive orcs, and if he stays in too long, he can risk losing his Plague Champion, which will be a 250 rec loss, as well as the loss of that field presence. Even more rec loss if he decides to buy his Plague Champion back quickly. And we have Shotguns Gen Bashing over here. Fully upgraded Shotgun Scouts. Well, maybe not fully upgraded. I don't think they have the elite training. They do have the shotgun though, and they do have a sergeant. I actually like combining the sergeant upgrade with the shotgun upgrade on the scouts. It gives them really good damage. They do need to be close to do all that damage, but it is just a lot of damage they're going to be doing. And that... Oh, Sluggers actually get healed to full. They were down. They are retreating, but at least this prevents them from taking too many model losses. Only lose 1 model, in fact, and this Wa banner, another Wa banner, quickly goes down. It looks like we have... So, looks like Fear Boner kind of pushed up into Kaldoot's natural, around in that power farm, hit the power a little bit, but not too much. Meanwhile, it looks like Gulbrandr pushing up, getting another power bash, and this is going to be kind of a bit of a problem for the blue team. They will probably not have a stable power income for most of this game. It's certainly going to be less than what the red team will have, and they're going to be losing a lot of rec if they keep buying generators. They may just want to not put this generator over here, or they're going to need something to deal with that Plague Champion for whenever he comes. I didn't see, but Fear Boner lost his Warboss due to something. We actually have a triple cap now from the red team and a significant VP lead of over 200. Luda squad in the building now. And the problem, one of the things that's tough about dealing with a suppression team that's inside a building is that you often can't even get close to it with grenades or flamers, because they'll just get suppressed by the Luda or whatever other suppression team it is. And we have that Devastator from Kaldoot, but it's already just getting jumped by the Storm Boys. And those Storm Boys are going to be doing even more damage now that they have that Storm Boy knob. Tax Sternguard veterans cannot really stay in against the Sluggas. I mean, these Sluggas, they actually don't have a knob, but they still do not really want to be in there. Some people have said that Tax will actually beat Sluggas, but I think the losses that Tax can potentially take in that matchup is not really worth it. And we now have the Force Commander with the Thunderhammer. Going to make Battlecry a lot more effective, doing area of effect knockback, but now in a lot of trouble with 2 Slugger Boy squads right there, threatening to wipe this Force Commander. Alright, Force Commander does get out there, and we do have a Shotgun Blast coming too. Maybe? No. Devastators instead. Oh, Devastators don't suppress the Sluggers, but I think no, this is Ass Monkey Sluggers. Ass Monkey backs the Sluggers off anyway because he did not want them to take too many losses from that Devastator. The Devastator actually suppressed the Shooter Boy squad, though. And this Shooter Boy squad, pretty low on health. I think especially because it's taking hits from those Hellfire bolts. Now we have that War Truck. Kaldoot's only AV is the Sternguard veteran squad, but he just runs all those units the hell out of there. Kaldoot has a surprisingly lean force, only 3 units. On the other side, Gulbrandr's kind of tanking up with Chaos. He's really exerted control over Ass Monkey's power farm. It's actually now in control of Chaos, and this is going to be a little bit of trouble. That War Truck certainly has to fear this Chaos Dreadnought, and the Grenade Launcher Heretic's going to get wiped right here. Yeah, definitely going to get wiped. They do get wiped. Kind of an unnecessary loss from Gulbrandr. Now these Heretics, and I mean these Sluggers in a little bit of trouble. Oh man, if he had actually stopped worshipping with the Heretics, Doom Blasted, and then Force Melee'd with the CSM as well as Melee'd with the Chaos Raptors, I think he might have been able to wipe that Slugger Boy squad. Anyway, now we have a Beamy Luda in the building. So Beamy Luda is not going to be quite as threatening to infantry units that try to approach and do anti-garrison damage. But that Beamy Luda has mainly been bought to deal with this Chaos Dreadnought. So Kaldoot suffered some pretty significant losses with Fear Boner right in his base. Lost his Devastator, and probably due to that Stormboy squad. Stormboy squad lost the knob, but it hurts more to lose a Devastator than a Stormboy knob. So unfortunately, a suppression team is extremely risky against. It's extremely risky against Stormboys. Extremely risky in general to races that have high DPS melee units like Orcs, as well as Eldar. And Red Team has a huge VP lead, almost over a 400 VP lead, but Red Team is now losing severely on the fighting. This CSM squad is going to get wiped. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Gulbrandr, kind of just leaving both the Raptors and the CSM squad in there way too long, and now going to lose his Plague Champion, I think. I mean, right now, even if he retreats that Plague Champion, I think it's done. And that, wow, major losses from Gulbrandr. Gulbrandr losing almost his entire army. Lucky to get this Plague Champion out of there. Has this Grey Knight Dreadnought, the Chaos Dreadnought alive. But for how long? We do have this Luda squad. It is in Fear Boner's base. So right now, the Chaos Dreadnought does not have anything to fear. The Weird Boy can do melee damage, but now the Weird Boy needs to get out of there before he gets wiped. Ooh. Alright, Weird Boy will get out of there. It's now a 2-cap for the Orc team, for Ass Monkey and Fear Boner. Now, I've played Ass Monkey and Fear Boner before. I've had quite a few games. I've had a few games with them. I certainly won several, and then there were a few times when I lost against them, and what I noticed about them is usually when I lose against them, they do it this way, where they're behind most of the game, but then they just start coming back on the fighting. They kind of let the VPs drop, and then they kind of come back on the fighting. And I'm not saying that they do it on purpose just to sandbag. I just think it's kind of their style, where they kind of don't really handle the map control. And look at that flying Orc model. Anyway, they kind of don't handle the map control, but there are just some things they know in teams about how to kind of overpower basically the enemy army, especially with Orcs. I played them before with Orcs. And this Chaos Dreadnought might actually go down to the Sluggas, and I think it will. That would be really sad. It does. Wow. So that's really sad. Sluggas by no means beat a Dreadnought. What happened there was just this Slugga squad is fully upgraded. It has a Knob who's doing power melee. It also has the Burna upgrade, so those two members with the Burnas have power melee. And just because of the extremely high DPS of the Slugger Boy squad, it just was doing damage to that Dreadnought, and it didn't have much health left. And Gulbrandr has suffered major losses, so has Kaldoot. And even something's gonna go here. Oh, that was something. Oh, that was actually the Plague Champion. Wow. And Gulbrandr saying he kind of fell apart. Kaldoot is saying no problem, but I don't think he realized. I don't think he realizes just how much Gulbrandr just lost. He lost everything, and he had the bigger army between these two players. We do have this Predator here being upgraded to a las cannon, also upgraded to extra armor, taking shots from the beamy Luda, and wow, already down. So this omnidirectional beamy Luda actually doing quite well. This beamy Luda in the garrison, now bashing generators. Gonna take another shot eventually? I mean, he took one shot at the generator, but not another one. Wow. And this is after such a huge VP deficit. The red team winning by 400 victory points. I don't even see how the red team can come back in this after losing so much. Especially when Fearboner has amassed such an army. And as good of a choice as Chaos Terminators are, they are stepping way too forward, and they're actually going to risk getting wiped here. Wow. So the thing about Terminators is, as good as they are and as much health as they have, and this goes for all Terminators, especially, well, not all Terminators, this goes for ranged Terminators. Your ranged Terminators, you need to keep them far back. That's how they will do, because their main thing is they do range damage. I mean, they actually do just as much melee damage as range damage. And they actually do heavy melee damage. But you just want, one of the biggest threats to Terminators is melee units. So you want to keep them away from melee units, and they will do a ton of damage at bleeding melee units with their Stormbolters before most melee units can even get close to them. So don't voluntarily put your Terminators right in front of melee units. Like right here, we do have these Terminators. They are far enough back. They need to teleport away. They should not stay in there, period. That is the right thing to do. He needs to move. Alright, now he should shoot with them a bit. Move them forward. Have the Scouts shotgun blast. Scouts did get knocked down by that weird boy, so they will not be able to shotgun blast. Unfortunately, these Sluggas are just getting reinforced by the War Truck, and the red team just does not really have the AV to deal with it. Gulbrandr needs to maybe put that autocannon on the Chaos Terminators. This Plague Marine squad right here will be AV that he needs for this War Truck. Anyway, Gulbrandr's, he's doing what he can. He's making some good choices. Oh man. Now he put a turret here, which is not a bad idea in itself, but he did not pick a good firing arc, and this turret is gone already. Oh, that was really sad, because the turret itself was a good idea. Especially at this point in the game, where they really need the VPs. If they could just get the VPs for a little bit, they can win the game. But just the bad firing arc, because these walls had been crushed over here, and the Orcs kind of just walked right over. Plague Champion retreated to base, 2 Plague Marine models down. And I don't even know how Kaldoot is fighting off all of this stuff. Fearboner, he did wipe one squad. I don't know what squad, but he wiped a squad from Fearboner. Actually, he didn't wipe a squad, he wiped a vehicle. He destroyed the War Truck, which is good. This Warboss over here only has the angry bits. Level 4. Let's see, Ass Monkey has the Mekboy. He's got the Daka big shooter. Just gives the Mekboy pretty good range damage. Brings him up to level 6, and I think a lot of that has to do with the Daka big shooter. On the other side, Gulbrandr, that level 4 Plague Champion. Don't even see him right there. Now we do have that Plague Cloud. Unfortunately, he's not. There we go. He starts to micro the Plague Cloud, but the main units that have to worry about the Plague Cloud, the Shooter Boys and the Tank Busters, have already gotten out of range of it. And I mean, look at that. blue team doing a good job of doing what they need to do to win the game, because although they're winning massively on the fighting at this point, if they let the VPs go even for a little bit, they can easily lose this game. So the Plague Champion there was trying to capture this VP, and I really like the way Ass Monkey is using this Weird Boy to just deny the cap. First he used Warp Vomit, which stuns the Weird Boy. So it's like even if the Weird Boy doesn't die or anything, he just gets stunned, and he can't cap while he's stunned. And then he also just used the regular shot from the Weird Boy to knock the Plague Champion off the point, and then do a lot of damage with his other units. We got commanders going down. That Mekboy actually just went down to the sheer DPS of Terminators. Knobs now with huge hammers. Knobs will just beat these Terminators in melee. And kaldoot actually does not really have abundant counters to these knobs. He does have the shotgun scouts, which will knock them over for a little bit. He does have the Stern Guard veterans with the Kraken bolts will do some extra damage, but I don't know how much. I'm not sure, but I kind of have this impression that it's worse than a plasma attack squad. In the middle, we have more fighting going on. Unfortunately, it's more Gulbrandr losing a lot of units. At this point, Gulbrandr has 800 wreck. I don't know. He's been kind of sitting on that wreck. Probably could have put out a CSM squad and a Heretic squad. I'm not sure how well it would have been able to fight Ass Monkey's forces, but I mean, it would have done better than no units whatsoever. And this is now a game that looks like it's going in favor. We have more bugged out orcs flying around the screen. This is a game that looks like it's going to go in favor of Fear Boner and Ass Monkey. It's now a double cap and soon to be a 3 cap for the blue team. This is surely a game in their favor. And autocannon Terminators, good choice, but too little too late, and that is the game. So Ass Monkey and Fear Boner bringing it back after about a 400 VP deficit. I played with them. That's kind of how they like to do things. They certainly really know how to amass an orc-wah. And then Ass Monkey sitting on a ton of red. Could have thrown down a Rox or two. kaldoot himself had a lot of red too. Could have thrown down an orbital bombardment. That would have been fun to see. And despite all those early gen bashes by Gulbrandr, quite a comeback from Fear Boner and Ass Monkey. I'm actually just talking about this so I can say their names as many times as I can. Fear Boner and Ass Monkey. This was also a replay submitted, I think, by one of them. And I also just want to tell you that I appreciate the people who are sending in replays. Please keep doing it. I apologize if I haven't been getting around to them fast enough. It doesn't mean that I think your game sucks, unless it actually does. Please try to send good games. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the cast. Please have a good night.